We begin with California Governor Gavin Newsom, who spent the weekend trying to avoid responsibility as the fires were still burning by dropping by the Pod Save America podcast for an attempt to clean up his own image.
I want to know the answers. So I'm the governor of California. I want to know the answer. I've got that question. I can't tell you about how many people, what happened.
Now watch this. We don't have to play the whole thing, just the first 30 seconds. Watch how he's finally wanting to have his people be responsible. Go ahead, Rob.
You incite violence. I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence to destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account.
Okay.
That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated.
Megyn Kelly and Patrick Bet-David just dropped the political version of a truth bomb on Gavin Newsom, ripping apart his carefully prepared public picture like paper thrown at a campaign celebration gone bad. With clever jokes and strong clearness, they reveal the California governor as a complete PR show. Perfect hair, smooth words, and commitments that fall apart the second anyone looks at them. From weak policies to clear hypocrisy, this criticism wasn't casual talking. It was a total destruction, the type where even Newsom's own mirror image would look away. This was genuine, powerful political breakdown delivered without stopping.
He had no dignity. That's what I was missing. There was no dignity. It just looked like a man desperate for attention, and whenever DeSantis was scoring points on him, he would interrupt over and over to try to talk over the points as just a, that's like a middle school debate tactic, which is pathetic and not.
This was a catastrophic moment in his career, and now people are sitting there worried and saying, are we ready if an earthquake happens? I honestly don't care if you're straight, gay, lesbian. I have no interest in any of that stuff. But if we're hiring you and you're talking about you want to increase diversity, that's not your job. Your job is to protect the families.
Megyn Kelly didn't waste a single second creating the mood when she focused her focus on Gavin Newsom, making the entire situation into something that seemed less like a political attack and more like a famous comedic destruction given with sharp accuracy. She didn't yell or get out of control. She simply raised an eyebrow and broke down his public character bit by bit like a talented expert tired of handling an overpraised patient acting to be amazing. It wasn't just the argument she created. It was the relaxed, stable way she shared them, showing a quiet surprise that someone so perfectly groomed could still be so removed from the truth most individuals experience.
Forgot to mention Gavin Newsom. Now, he's a far left progressive, and Bill Maher just came out in favor of him. He's the most radical Democrat in America. Honestly, his politics may be left of the squads. He would be a hard no. I don't care how good his hairline is. They're going to say no. It's not another.
Megyn concentrated sharply on what she famously called the hair product advertisement of American politics, describing Gavin Newsom not as a real leader or decision maker, but as a shiny commercial created totally on looks and smooth showing. To her, he wasn't directing anything. He was modeling, giving style without actual content, hosting press meetings that appeared half-fashion photo shoot and half-confusing word mess, where lighting and camera positions mattered more than obvious action. Every public situation she mentioned seemed like it needed a stylist, a special light, and a makeup crew polished enough to match half of Hollywood's best experts.
You know, a great drinking game is when you watch a Newsom speech, and every time he says, you take a shot, you'll be fucking hammered within 3 minutes.
It's actually a pretty good drinking game. Do you know this guy lost $1 trillion of money under management that left the state of California last 4 years?
Yeah, and he's done nothing to make people want to come back or stay. He's making it worse.
That goes back to the idea when you're saying Trump versus Kamala or any of this stuff. To me, it goes basics to economy. You lost 2 people due to economy. And Elon Musk, he said, I got a vengeance to get back to these guys. Because what did he say about his losing his son?
He said that.
So my son Xavier is bad.
Then arrived her sharp analysis of Gavin Newsom's famous lockdown double standard given with a relaxed confidence that made the argument hit even stronger. Megyn mentioned that nothing screams public helper quite like sneaking into a fancy restaurant while instructing everyone else to wear masks and dine outside in the freezing rain. She didn't even have to say the location. Everyone already remembered it because that French laundry meal might as well be printed on his public history forever. It wasn't the dinner she pointed out, but the arrogant behavior, the rule-ignoring confidence, and the we create the rules but don't obey them attitude that had turned into the main feature of the Newsom image.
I watched the press conference. I met with some of those leaders. We had my team start talking to local leaders, seeing what's going on. Our state,
You weren't getting straight answers from
I was getting different answers. When you get so many different answers, then I'm not getting the actual story.
So you decided the thing to do would be to go on Pod Save America to talk about it, because in the end, it's all about you. This is another David Muir, folks. He is just as vain and worried about his image in the middle.
Megyn examined his emergency haircut appointment during the height of pandemic rules with a level of detail that only someone totally frustrated could show. While regular Californians were being blocked from seeing dying family members, Newsom was out getting his hairstyle fixed as if he were getting ready for the front of a fashion magazine. According to Megyn, he appeared far more worried about fixing a difficult hairpiece than reducing the infection numbers, making a moment of emergency into a reminder of just how disconnected his concerns had turned.
What is kind of weird on the playbook, the page is taken out of the playbook, is this current play is the play to stay governor of California. It's not the play to become the president. Who is he winning over?
The moderate play or the radical play?
Or radical play.
Yeah, right. They're
now.
kind of getting mixed
but
up.
To get the moderate play is for being a president. The radical play is to stay governor of California. It doesn't make any sense.
But how do you win the primary?
Megyn attacked his climate change plans as well, not because she ignored environmental safety, but because Newsom had made the topic into a Hollywood-style action movie where your gas stove became the bad guy and he became the shining hero charging his Tesla while the state's electricity system fought to survive. In her opinion, only someone living in a huge house powered by guilt and polished reputation could ask that everyone else gave up their comfort while he threw backyard parties lit with fancy lanterns. She also destroyed the way he attempted to sell himself as America's backup president, always standing in the wings like an extra actor who demands on carrying his own spotlight. She described him as the type of person who wakes up, loves his mirror image, then contacts his PR crew before cleaning his teeth. Megyn showed how desperate he appeared to go viral, to stay popular, not through thoughts, but through vanity and drama. And with a cutting grin, she wondered at how California's huge departure had turned into the biggest unplanned movement since the gold rush. Only this time, individuals weren't coming, they were escaping. To her, Newsom was the person who received the mansion, burned it down, and criticized the neighbors for not carrying enough water hoses.
This is the governor of California, great state of California, which he's destroyed. The last 4 years under his reign, he's being asked, what happened for this $24 billion that you asked us taxpayers to fix homelessness? What happened to that money? Here's the exchange. Go ahead, Rob.
To determine whether the money that's being plowed into homelessness is being well spent.
One of the vexing issues that was highlighted in the audit was local, and each city and county has different strategies, approaches. We've tried to level set that.
I'm sorry, Governor, I didn't hear responses to either of those questions. Do you acknowledge whether the money that the state isn't doing enough to ensure that the money is being well spent?
The audit did not surprise me.
When Megyn finished, the audience didn't know whether to giggle, weep, or immediately begin packing for Texas. But one thing was totally certain. She had grabbed Gavin Newsom's polished public picture and forced it straight through a common-sense-powered grinding machine. Then Patrick Bet David entered. And if Megyn was the surgical knife, Patrick was the complete force hammer swinging with business accuracy and years of knowledge spotting incompetence. Nobody gives a roast with more strength than someone who has created actual businesses and understands exactly what failure appears and smells like. Patrick's method wasn't flashy. It was based in proof, evidence, and a deeply annoyed honesty. He started by claiming that Newsom operates California like a failing new company desperate to act like everything is okay, showing a perfect grin every time someone questions the outcomes and starting new advertising campaigns instead of solving issues. Patrick stated that if Newsom were a CEO, he would have been removed, charged for bad management, and shut out of the company system ages ago.
In any event, they're melting down on the left over what Gavin Newsom is doing, which is kind of fun. I mean, it almost makes me want to see it continue, but not really, because unlike Bill Maher, who definitely has a touch of the TDS, but can be fair to Republicans, the way Gavin Newsom governs is truly radical. I mean, there's nothing fair about the way he runs California when it comes to fairness to Republicans.
Patrick didn't stop when he criticized the thought that a governor managing over a quickly growing homelessness emergency could somehow present himself as a national leader. He stated it was like seeing the captain of the Titanic offer to pilot a rocket ship. He hammered the departure of major companies abandoning California, mentioning how Tesla is gone, Oracle is gone, and countless small businesses have been destroyed beyond fixing, making a path of empty shops and abandoned chances. Patrick claimed that if Newsom were operating a company and lost that many customers, the board wouldn't just remove him, they'd switch the locks, cancel his entry, and act like they had never employed him in the first place. He compared Gavin's money strategy to lighting piles of cash on fire, recording it in slow motion, and labeling it visionary artwork. Patrick then attacked education, explaining California's school system is so broken under Newsom's control that it could work as a documentary on what occurs when activism takes over genuine learning. Test results keep dropping, students keep falling behind, and the only thing climbing is the spending for more explanations about why nothing is ever his blame. He made fun of the state's taxes, too, labeling them a protection scheme hidden as policy, saying Newsom handles taxpayers like visitors stuck in a fancy hotel, billed more for less, and told to grin about it.
Nothing. He's sided over and over with that lunatic, Scott Wiener, the one that Carrie and Britt have been chasing down all over California on his radical trans ideology. I think he's only rejected that guy one time on his most crazy trans agenda. And now he wants to come out and say, like, oh, yeah, boys shouldn't be in girls' sports. Like Charlie said, well, what have you done about it?
Patrick's roast wasn't just about attacking Newsom's leadership. It was about showing the polished trick he covers behind, the confident cover that acts like charisma can take the place of actual outcomes. He claimed that Gavin's biggest success wasn't governing, but persuading individuals that appeal and dramatic talks could hide actual disasters. According to Patrick, California didn't fall from missing resources. It fell from an overwhelming amount of Gavin Newsom's bad management. He compared the state to a fancy cruise boat with a charming captain who enjoys throwing champagne breakfasts but has no clue how to navigate. And every time the boat crashes another iceberg, Gavin grins and blames climate change, political enemies, or the weather. Patrick's last comparison hurt the most. He stated that if Newsom were a brand, he'd be one of those expensive perfume bottles that appear amazing on a display, advertised with huge marketing money, but smell like worry and terrible choices the second you open the top. He insisted it wasn't meanness, it was honesty, sharp and funny, showing how politicians like Newsom depend on smoke machines and catchphrases to distract from the breakdown happening right in front of individuals.
This is the governor of California, great state of California, which he's destroyed the last 4 years under his reign. He's being asked, what happened for this $24 billion that you asked us taxpayers to fix homelessness? What happened to that money? Here's the exchange. Go ahead, Rob.
To determine whether the money that's being plowed into homelessness is being well spent.
One of the vexing issues that was highlighted in the audit was local, and each city and county has different strategies, approaches. We've tried to level set that.
I'm sorry, Governor, I didn't hear responses to either of those questions. Do you acknowledge whether the money that the state isn't doing enough to ensure that the money is being well spent?
The audit did not surprise me. The state has advanced unprecedented investments, you're correct, and unprecedented interventions demanding more accountability with state money at the local level.
What does that mean, buddy?
It's like, at what point are the people going to say enough is enough and stop putting these type of people in power? It's your money, California. It's your money. And where's it going? Nothing is getting done. Streets are horrible.
Both Megyn and Patrick recognized the plan Newsom was using. Show up everywhere, appear confident doing it, and hope nobody sees when everything breaks down behind the scenes. But the cover was falling quickly, the shiny surface cracking, and the jokes were basically creating themselves. Megyn made fun of how Newsom constantly teaches the rest of the nation while his own state shakes like a block tower made of IOUs and hollow commitments, showing how he attacks other governors while avoiding any mirror that shows his own mistakes. She joked that he acts like a substitute teacher attempting to punish the school principal. Patrick continued with equally sharp comparisons, calling Newsom's national dreams the same as the person who destroys his own kitchen and then confidently requests for a cook job at the White House. In Patrick's mind, the only spot Newsom should be guiding America is in a warning documentary about choosing someone based on their facial features instead of proven achievements. And neither of them paused there. They weren't just talking to an audience. They were talking to taxpayers questioning how a state blessed with perfect weather, natural beauty, and innovation had turned into a warning story. To them, Newsom didn't fail quietly. He failed loudly, dramatically, and with background music. Megyn pointed out the ridiculous nature of him attempting to rebrand himself nationally after making California into a real-life reality show where nobody earns the final prize. She compared him to a Netflix program that somehow got continued despite awful reviews simply because the company enjoyed the advertisement.
Your kids in the school system of California, no matter what part of California you're in, why would you do that? So you don't trust the system. Number 4, if you choose to start a small business in California, do you think they've cleaned the homelessness? They got $24 billion of taxpayer money, and homelessness just went up. In America, we have 770,000 of homeless people in America. 181 of it is in California. This man has been the governor for 6 years, the lieutenant governor prior to that for 8 years. His policies have destroyed.
Patrick totally supported, adding that if Newsom ever operated a gym, individuals would enter, observe the equipment actually on fire and still be given a membership paper with a huge price increase while being informed everything was totally fine. Then Newsom would show up on television and describe that the mess was simply a confusion and that the members should grin more and value the experience. For both Megyn and Patrick, this wasn't personal, it was national. Alert that smooth conversation and Instagram-ready policies mean nothing when a state turns into a flashing warning signal for the rest of the nation. They said that if someone can't guide without a special light, maybe they shouldn't be guiding at all, no matter how polished their looks might be. So, they continued going. Each roast, each sharp statement, and each comedic attack wasn't directed just at Newsom, the person, but at the entire trick that charisma can take over competence. To them, Gavin was the final challenge of political packaging, and they arrived ready with proof, jokes, and enough direct truth to shake the entire platform.
That Gavin Newsom was basically almost burned alive, the governor of California. Take a listen.
We went up to one of the canyons on the fire, sitting there feeling we're a quarter mile away. I'm not making this up, video carried out. All of a sudden, we see an ember, hits the tree goes on fire. 100 seconds. God is my witness, may have been 90 seconds. The house is in flames. I have embers, flames, they're taking it off my hair, and we're running back into the car. Winds are swirling around, garbage cans were in the air, and we were getting the hell out of there.
Okay, why is he saying as God is my witness and I'm not making...
Somewhere in California, Newsom's PR crew panicked while Megyn returned, showing that his real skill wasn't governing, it was trying out, as if every camera, every talk, and every dramatic press situation was just another screen audition for a position he hadn't truly deserved. She compared his whole method to advertising sparkling fantasies created on a dazzling grin, even as the base beneath those fantasies slowly fell apart. Patrick wasn't done either. He compared Newsom's leadership to a fancy vehicle with a perfect outside but no motor. A machine that appears impressive but only travels when someone forces it from behind. He made fun of how Gavin makes every emergency into a branded photo chance, putting hashtags onto disasters and naming it leadership, as if advertising could take over actual answers. Patrick alerted that if the nation lets someone with this record to grow up from California to the national platform, individuals would soon discover themselves spending more for less and being instructed to grin while doing it. Together, Megyn and Patrick weren't just roasting Newsom. They were removing the curtain on an entire show created on arranged chaos, polished drama, and a picture that couldn't survive actual examination.